It was supposed to be a celebratory appearance. Samuel L. Jackson, a living legend and one of Hollywood's most prolific actors, was set to appear on Good Morning America to promote his new streaming miniseries, a political thriller with hard-hitting themes and an unapologetic tone, just like the man himself. George Stephanopoulos, who had interviewed presidents, pundits, and performers alike, was ready for another morning of civil conversation and subtle jabs. Ash! But no one in the studio, or watching live at home, was ready for what actually unfolded. From the moment Jackson sat down, sporting tinted glasses and a sharp lavender blazer, the energy was slightly off. He greeted George with a firm handshake and a quick nod. But when George began with a question about Jackson's long-standing role as a cultural disruptor, the actor smirked with a tightness that felt loaded. Cultural disruptor? Jackson echoed. Is that the new way of calling me controversial without actually saying it? George chuckled nervously. No, I meant it as a compliment. Your roles have challenged norms. Jackson leaned in. Oh, see, when you say things like that, it's not a compliment. It's a warning in disguise. From there, the tone went from cautious to combative in mere seconds. George tried to steer the conversation toward the show itself, which centered around systemic corruption in American institutions and a former intelligence operative seeking redemption. But Jackson wasn't letting the earlier jab slide. Let me ask you something, he said, cutting George off mid-question. When you say I've challenged norms, what norms are we talking about? The kind that made it okay to cast guys like me as criminals and sidekicks for 20 years? Before someone finally figured out I could carry a movie? George blinked, caught off guard. Was referring to the way your performances often subvert expectations, he said carefully. Jackson nodded slowly. Yeah, subvert expectations. That's another phrase people use when they don't want to admit the system's been rigged from the jump. The audience was quiet. George tried again. Samuel, your character in this new series, he's deeply flawed. He's morally gray. Is that a reflection of your own views about justice today? Jackson laughed, but it wasn't joyful. Are you trying to imply I'm morally gray? Or are you saying black men who don't smile and nod on cue are morally gray? That's when the tension truly snapped. A producer off camera, began waving frantically, but Jackson raised a hand without looking. Out! Don't even think about. Cutting to commercial, he growled. We're just getting started. George attempted to regain control. Think what I'm trying to get at. Jackson cut him off again. No, you're trying to box me in. Ask yourself, would you ask Tom Hanks the same kind of damn questions you're asking me? George's voice dropped half a notch. I believe I would. Jackson shot back instantly. No, you wouldn't, and you know it. You'd ask about craft and legacy, not if he thinks he's disrupting norms or reflecting some broken world. You want me to be angry on cue, but polite about it? Nah, I don't play that game. The audience, unsure whether to clap or cringe, remained frozen. Jackson wasn't yelling yet, but his presence was towering, volcanic, and uncontainable. George's calm demeanor began to crack. I'm simply exploring the layers in your work, he said. Jackson leaned back, jaw set. You want layers? Ask better questions. The studio air was electric now, buzzing with the threat of eruption. The fuse had been lit. Now it was just a matter of how big the explosion would be. George tried to pivot again. Let's talk about the political message of the series. Do you think it contributes to division? Jackson squinted. No, George. The division was already there. The show just pulled the curtain back. Don't put that on me. George pressed. But don't you think entertainment has a responsibility? Not to deepen existing divides? Jackson raised his voice for the first time. You mean like The Bachelor? It's like 90% of reality TV? Don't come at me with some sermon about responsibility when y'all profit off train wrecks every night. George attempted to maintain civility. I think we can agree that your platform is powerful. Jackson scoffed. Powerful? My platform is tolerated. You invite me here because I bring ratings, not because you actually want to listen. That line landed like a brick. The audience gasped. George's jaw tensed. Samuel, I think that's unfair. Jackson's tone hardened. and I think this whole damn segment is unfair. You didn't bring me here for a conversation. Brought me here for a spectacle. Asterisk. Suddenly, Jackson stood up, removing his mic. George glanced at the floor manager, unsure if he should intervene, but the cameras kept rolling. Know what I'm tired of? Jackson said, now standing. Center stage, towering over the GMA set. I'm tired of being expected to perform outrage but keep it palatable. I'm tired of being praised for being authentic as long as I don't make you uncomfortable. George stood too, attempting diplomacy. Samuel, please. Jackson cut him off again. You had your time to talk. Now I'm talking. You want me here to sell a show, but not to speak truth? You want me to play the angry black man trope? Then act surprised when I live up to it. Miss me with that nonsense. The audience clapped nervously. Some stood, others reached for their phones. George tried to salvage the moment. I didn't intend to provoke you. Jackson looked at him coldly. Intent doesn't matter. Impact does. And the impact of this little Q&A. You've just made it real clear what network TV still thinks of people like me. Then he dropped the mic. Literally, asterisk chaos. Absolute chaos. The show went to commercial, but the damage had been done. Clips were already being posted online by audience members. The moment Jackson shouted, the moment George looked cornered, the mic drop every angle was online within 10 minutes. Twitter exploded. Instagram Reels popped up with dramatic edits and background music. TikTok creators broke down the exchange frame by frame. Hashtags like hashtag Samuel Speaks, hashtag GMA Clash, and hashtag Jackson vs. George trended worldwide. Within hours, pieces flooded the internet. Some praised Jackson for calling out coded language and microaggressions in mainstream media. Others criticized his lack of professionalism. But the vast majority agreed on one thing. It was one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. Asterisk, ABC scrambled to contain the fallout. Their official statement was carefully worded. We value diverse perspectives and regret that today's segment did not reflect the respectful tone we aim to uphold. George Stephanopoulos said nothing for the rest of the day, but insiders said he was visibly shaken after the incident. Samuel L. Jackson's publicist released a short but blistering message. Mr. Jackson will no longer engage in interviews that attempt to police his tone or rewrite his narrative. Meanwhile, his series saw an immediate 48% spike in streaming numbers. Critics re-reviewed the show and found renewed depth in its political themes. What was meant to be a press tour became a full-blown cultural reckoning. Asterisk, days later, Jackson appeared on an independent podcast to address the moment. Look, he said, I don't go on shows looking for a fight. I'm not going to let anyone use their platform to undermine mine. He spoke calmly, without venom. I've been in this business too long to let someone with a desk and a tie decide how I should express myself. Fans flooded the comments in support. Some called for him to start his own media outlet. Memes flourished. One showed Jackson in his signature glare with the caption, "Don't poke the legend." Meanwhile, GMA quietly adjusted their upcoming guest segments. No hard questions. No risk. Play it safe. But the world had already changed. Asterisk, in the aftermath, conversations about media tone, racial double standards, and celebrity respect surged across platforms. Newsrooms held closed-door meetings about how to interview outspoken guests. Journalism schools analyzed the clip in classes. Even celebrities weighed in. Viola Davis tweeted that man spoke truth, period. Denzel Washington commented, some people don't know how to interview lions. And George? He returned to work with a more measured approach. When asked about the clash, he replied, I regret how it unfolded, but I respect Samuel L. Jackson's voice. But the exchange lived on, not just as a viral clip, but as a cultural inflection point. Asterisk, Samuel L. Jackson didn't just rage. He detonated years of quiet frustration live, without apology. And in doing so, he shifted something in the collective conversation. He reminded viewers that respect isn't just a script to follow. It's a lens through which you engage with others. The next time someone like Jackson walks onto a morning show set, producers will think twice about their questions. And audiences will listen more closely for what's unsaid beneath the polished smiles. For a moment, daytime television wasn't just fluff and promos, it was raw, uncomfortable, and necessary. And all it took was one man, one question too far, and a truth bomb dressed in a lavender blazer.